What's up, everybody? A very happy pre-Christmas Monday to you here on the Refuse to Lose podcast. Brady Farkas with you as always from Roundtable Sports, your Mariners on Roundtable publisher, and again, the host here of the Refuse to Lose podcast. Some of you are watching live on X. Some of you are watching on YouTube. Others of you will listen in subsequent days. We appreciate everybody who supports us here on the Refuse to Lose podcast and all of our written work, again, over at Roundtable Sports, where myself and Taryn Kovac do what we can to bring you all the latest on Mariners news, notes, rumors, transactions, audio, anything we can, M's related. We are there for you, and we appreciate everybody who has been there for us. By the way, speaking of that, a couple of weeks ago, I asked you to join our Mariners community, and you guys have showed out in a big way. Remember, our Mariners community is the number one way for us to grow our site at marinersroundtable.com. It allows you, being in the community is free, first and foremost, totally free. No paywall, no subscription, no nothing, totally free. Gives you a chance to interact with us, myself and Taryn, interact with each other, start your own discussion posts, anything you can think of. Again, the QR code is how you do it. If you're not in the community already, get in there, please. We appreciate you. We're at 115 members and counting right now. That is the number one baseball site in the Roundtable Network, where I believe all 30 sites have launched at this point, and we are number one. So we appreciate all of you. Quick schedule here for the holiday week. Remember, we got a full episode coming here now on Monday night. Buster Olney's going to stop by on Christmas Eve. Buster is going to join us on Christmas Eve Wednesday morning. We'll put that right out on Wednesday. And I will have a bit of a best of on Christmas Day. I thought about doing it. I waffled back and forth on whether or not I wanted to, but I'm going to put it out. On Christmas Day, we'll have a best of Refuse to Lose, probably for the first half of 2025. Some of our best interviews, right? I think Harold Reynolds will probably be on there, Sean Casey, who we had, some of the stuff we did in spring training. A lot of fun. Kind of see kind of how the things we asked and the things they talked about manifested themselves over the course of the year. So that'll come out on Christmas Day on Thursday. So we appreciate everybody who is with us. Rob Refsnyder signs to a one-year deal. We'll start off with that. Lego. All right, so the Mariners signed Rob Refsnyder, a 10-year veteran, most recently with the Boston Red Sox. It's a one-year deal worth $6.25 million. What you need to know is this. Rob Refsnyder, again, is a 10-year veteran. He's played for a bunch of teams, especially early in his career. Came up as a good prospect with the Yankees. He spent time in Toronto. He spent time in Tampa. He spent time with Texas. He spent time with the Minnesota Twins, and he's been with Boston for the last 4 years. There are plenty of questions. There are plenty of follow-ups to this move. But let me just start here. I love this move for the Mariners. On its own, ignoring all of the other questions for a few minutes, and we will get to them, I love this move on its own. Rob Refsnyder is a player that is going to help the Mariners immensely in 2026. I covered the Red Sox when I was doing radio in New England for all those years. I've watched Rob Refsnyder play a lot with the Red Sox. He's a good player. He is a good athlete, even at 34, pushing 35. He's a fairly good defender, kind of a jack of all trades, can play left field, can play right field, can DH, can hit anywhere you want in the order. Good clubhouse guy, good leader. He's going to fit right in with the Mariners clubhouse. That is awesome on itself. Secondly, he is a dynamite player against left-handed pitching. For a team that was skewing left-handed, when you talk about, okay, there's Cal, primarily left-handed, Naylor left-handed, there's Raley, there's Canzone, there's Cole Young, there's the possibility of Cole Emerson. Like, the lineup was skewing left-handed. Now Rob Refsnyder comes in, gives you another right-handed presence. He is dynamite against lefties. I mean, listen to these numbers. Over the last 4 years, among hitters with 400 or more plate appearances since 2022, only Aaron Judge and Paul Goldschmidt have a better on-base percentage than Rob Refsnyder. Let me repeat that. Since 2022, 22, 23, 24, 25, the last 4 years that Refsnyder was in Boston, among players with 400 or more plate appearances against lefties, only Aaron Judge and Paul Goldschmidt have a better on-base percentage than Rob Refsnyder. Last season, Rob Refsnyder had a 596 slugging against lefties. Only 3 other players in Major League Baseball had a better slugging percentage against lefties than Rob Refsnyder. He hit 302 last year against lefties. He had an OPS of 959 against lefties last year. Right? We talked about Mitch Garver being a good option against left-handed pitching. Mitch Garver had a 718 OPS against lefties. Rob Refsnyder's was 959. You're going to look at Rob Refsnyder's baseball reference page, and you're going to see that he's bounced around, and you're going to see that he's 34, almost 35, and you're going to think this is the Mariners being cheap. You're going to think this is the Mariners going after another Tommy La Stella type. It isn't. This is an impact move that will massively help the Mariners lineup. I love this move. And it's $6.25 million. That shows you the Mariners love this move as well. The Mariners don't give out $6.25 million willy-nilly. The Mariners, we know they're budget conscious. We know Donovan Solano last year got $3 million. We know they gave an opening day roster spot to Rowdy Tellez, who was on a minor league deal and an invite to spring training. The Mariners do not give out $6 million deals to bench or platoon players. They gave one to him, not because he is just a bench player. He is an impact bench player. He is an impact platoon player. He is an impact pinch hitter late in games, and he's got some speed, and he's got some defensive versatility. This is a great move. Again, a 959 OPS against lefties. Mitch Garver's was 718. And I was for bringing Garver back as the backup catcher and a pinch or in a DH option against lefties. Well, now you've got Rob Refsnyder, who had an OPS of 240 points higher than that. Even if Rob Refsnyder doesn't hit as well at T-Mobile as he did at Fenway, even if his OPS drops to 800, he's still significantly better than Mitch Garver was. He's still significantly better than anything the Mariners currently have. This is a legitimate move. This is a legitimate signing. Again, his slugging percentage last year, 4th best in baseball. Last 4 years, only Judge and Goldschmidt have a better on-base percentage than Rob Refsnyder against lefties. This is a good move. This is the kind of move, right? When we talk about the playoffs and we look at the Blue Jays roster and we say, and we compare it to the Mariners roster, I remember being there in October and saying, man, the Blue Jays just have answers for everything the Mariners are doing, right? The Blue Jays just have answers. The Tigers just had answers, right? They would go to the bench and they would bring on, they've got Kerry Carpenter starting. They'd go to the bench. They'd bring in this guy, that right-hander. Gabe Spire gives up a double down the line. They had answers on their bench. And we wondered, when will the Mariners get those kind of answers? Rob Refsnyder is an answer. You want a lineup that was more balanced like the Tigers was? You want a lineup that was more balanced like the Blue Jays was, who could go to Miles Straw or Nathan Lucas, who could go to, Addison Barger here or somebody else there? This is what the Mariners have built here with Rob Refsnyder. This is a very good move and a move that I am very, very excited about. Again, you can get in with comments on X. You can get in with comments on YouTube. My guy Nick says, I really like the signing. I just hope he doesn't turn into Pollock or Solano 3.0 when he puts on a Mariners jersey. Look, I get the worries. I do. Because we've seen it where La Stella, Solano, Pollock, they didn't play well in Seattle. I think Rob Refsnyder is a different kind of player. Okay, I think Rob Refsnyder is a better player than those guys were. And Solano was, 37, 38, not that athletic. Refsnyder is athletic. Refsnyder can do some things on a field that those guys could no longer do. He can play left field. He can play right field. And look, Rob Refsnyder, make no mistake, he hit in the middle of the order against lefties for the Red Sox. Rob Refsnyder, on a team that went to the playoffs and a team that had Trevor Story, Roman Anthony, Rafael Devers at one point, Rob Refsnyder was hitting 3rd and 4th in that lineup. Heck, Rob Refsnyder hit leadoff in that lineup. So you start talking about Rob Refsnyder against lefties, and all of a sudden there's options there for Dan Wilson. Rob Refsnyder hits leadoff, Julio hits second, Cal hits third, or Naylor hits third, and Cal hits fourth, and Arozarena now hits fifth. Like, there are options there that were not there before. Rob Refsnyder is a good player, and Rob Refsnyder is a late inning option as well. Oh, you've got Dom Canzone in the lineup, and they're going to a lefty. Boom, here's Refsnyder. Oh, you've got Luke Raley in the lineup, and here comes a lefty. Boom, there's Rob Refsnyder. Hey, the AL West is on the line in early September or in late August, in this case, I think it is, again, and the Astros are going to Josh Hader. Well, boom, there's Rob Refsnyder. This is a good move. It's a good move by Jerry DiPoto. It's a good move by Justin Hollander. It's a great luxury for Dan Wilson. And it's a move that I think Mariners fans are going to like. And it's a move that the Mariners, frankly, at this moment, given what has transpired in losing Jorge Polanco, it's a move that the Mariners needed to make. So I am all for this. I am all in on this move. Again, 302 against lefties. Last 4 years, one of the best in baseball at $6.25 million. That shows you the Mariners' belief in him as well. Now, let's get to the questions, because there's a few of them, and they are very, very real. Positionally, and I'm going to try to not go crazy with this, because if you're listening kind of audio only, I hate getting lost in just a list of names, but here we go. Positionally, how do things work? At this very moment in time, as I tape this, 7:30 p.m. on December 22nd, I would say that Dominic Canzone is your DH against right-handed pitching, and Luke Raley is your right fielder against right-handed pitching. I would say that Rob Refsnyder is your DH against left-handed pitching, and Victor Robles is your right fielder against left-handed pitching. So against righties, Canzone and Raley. Against lefties, Robles and Refsnyder. Now, I think that could change on a few different fronts. I could see Robles being an everyday player like he was in 2024 if he's playing well. They're paying him, $5 million a year. They're paying him like an everyday player. So I could see him winning that job. But for the ease of everything, let's just say against righties, Canzone and Raley are in the lineup. Against lefties, Refsnyder and Robles are in. Okay, as it stands right now, 13 position players, 13 pitchers needed for the Mariners. Position player group: Cal Raleigh, Josh Naylor, that's 2. Cole Young, 3. J.P. Crawford, 4. I'll go with Ben Williamson at third base and call that 5. Randy Arozarena is 6. Julio Rodriguez is 7. Victor Robles is 8. Dom Canzone is 9. Rob Refsnyder is 10. Andrew Kisner is 11. Luke Raley is 12. And then any other infielder would be 13. Ryan Bliss, Colt Emerson, Leo Rivas, take your pick. That would be 13. Samad Taylor, whoever you want, that would be 13. We'll get back to that in a moment, right? So positionally, that's how things stand. That's how the roster stands at the moment. Question 2, how about the money? We came into the offseason thinking the Mariners had what? 25 to 30 million to spend? Well, they've already spent 10 of that on Josh Naylor. Now they've spent 6 of that on Rob Refsnyder. So we thought they had 25 to 30. They've already spent 16. So that tells us they have between 9 and 14 million left. MLB Trade Rumors did the calculations, said, hey, they ended the year at 166 last year. This move puts them at 157. That would give them $9 million more to play with if we're going right up to the limit of last year's spending. Of course, they could go beyond that, but if they're going right to the limit of last year's spending, they'd have $9 million to play with. So what does that mean for the rest of the offseason? Ketel Marte is due $18 million this year. I just told you I thought they had 9 to 14 million to play with. I don't see them going way past 9 to 14 to get Ketel Marte. I think they could. If you told me they paid that much, I would not be shocked. But to go past the budget by a decent amount of millions and give up the prospect capital and maybe someone on your major league roster, that feels like too much for me. I no longer think Ketel Marte is a real option for the Mariners. Again, I wouldn't be shocked if they overspent or if they went over the budget like that. But I don't think going over and getting the prospect and giving up the prospect capital, the roster capital, that doesn't feel likely to me. So I think the Mariners are out on Ketel Marte, but that is not a report. That is an opinion. And if they change, if we find out otherwise, I will come here and tell you my opinion was wrong. Let's move to Brendan Donovan. Brendan Donovan, as I tell you, I think they have $9 to $14 million to spend. Brendan Donovan is only set to make $5 million this year in arbitration. I continue to think that he works in a lot of ways. However, in order to fit him, there would have to be a roster casualty somewhere, right? There would have to be a roster casualty somewhere. I am still operating under the premise that the Cardinals want only pitching and they don't want Cole Young, and the Mariners will get to keep him. If that is the case, roster attrition has to happen somewhere. I just listed 13 people for you there. Okay? Cole Young can go to the bench, and he can be a bench player, and Ryan Bliss and Leo Rivas or one of Colt Emerson or Ben Williamson cannot be here. Right? Like if Brendan Donovan comes in here to be the starting second baseman, Cole Young can go to the bench, and one of those guys isn't here. That would be an example of roster attrition. One of those guys can stay, and Cole Young can go to AAA. That would be an example of roster attrition. Or one of the outfielders won't be here, either Canzone or Raley. Like something would have to happen. Because I can see a world where Cole Young is the second baseman against a righty, Brendan Donovan is the DH, Dom Canzone is now in right, and Luke Raley has no spot. I could see a world where Brendan Donovan's at second. I can see a world where Luke Raley is in right. I can see a world where Dom Canzone's the DH and Cole Young doesn't really have a spot. So I don't know how it would shake out, but if you acquire Brendan Donovan, you are saying goodbye in one way or another to somebody like that. You're either outright getting rid of somebody or Cole Young is ending up in AAA. Okay? Now, if you go against lefties, right? Donovan's at second, Refsnyder's the DH, Robles is in right. Now you've got, Young, Raley, Canzone, 3 lefties on the bench. That's too many. One of them needs to not be here. So roster attrition has to happen for you to bring Brendan Donovan. Now, let's talk about Eugenio Suarez, because this is the one that I was most interested in this morning. And I want to find the clip here. Justin Hollander was on MLB Network Radio on Sunday night, and he had this to say about Gino in a possible reunion. Again, this was before the Refsnyder signing, so let's talk about Gino. But first, let's listen to Justin Hollander. When I heard that last night, I thought there was a very good chance that Gino would be back. I thought this morning, I wrote it at Roundtable Sports, that it's feeling like kind of the momentum is building toward a Gino return. This Refsnyder move today, I think, makes things more complex. And I think it makes that harder. Because I have assumed all along that if Gino came back, he was going to serve primarily as a DH. As a result, one of the youngsters was going to play third, right? Williamson or Emerson. So let's just say Ben Williamson's at third. Gino's your DH. Like, Gino's playing a lot. If they're bringing him back, they're paying him real money, and he's playing mostly every day. So if he's mostly the DH, then what happens? Dom Canzone goes to right field against righties. Victor Robles is in right field against lefties. And Luke Raley's not needed. And, oh, by the way, they just signed Refsnyder. So against lefties, maybe they sit Williamson and they put Gino at third against lefties. And now Refsnyder's the DH. And now Robles is in right field. And now Canzone's on the bench and Raley's not needed. So if you bring in Gino, not only are you potentially playing him at third and taking at-bats away from a youngster you supposedly believe in Emerson or Williamson, or you're putting him at DH and you're then forcing the guy you just signed in Rob Refsnyder into the outfield against lefties. And, you know, and now Robles is compromised and Canzone. There's a lot going on there. So Gino now, I feel like, feels less likely to return than I thought at this time 24 hours ago. Again, I will say this. Against righties, I'm operating under this assumption. Let's say Ben Williamson's at third, Gino's at DH, Canzone is in right, Refsnyder's on the bench, Robles is on the bench. Raley doesn't feel that necessary in that regard. Against lefties, let's say that Williamson's at third, Gino's at DH, Refsnyder is in right. Oh, now Robles is compromised, and you have Canzone and Raley. One of them is not needed. Oh, you want to put Gino at third, Refsnyder at DH, Robles is in right, Canzone's on the bench, and Raley's good. Again, I don't like to get caught in lists. I think they're hard to follow. I apologize for doing it, but you're just starting to see the Refsnyder move, as good as it is, and it is good. It comes with real questions about what else can happen over the rest of the offseason. I would not be shocked if this is the last move the Mariners make. I would not be shocked. If you told me that the Mariners' offensive moves this offseason were Josh Naylor and Rob Refsnyder, I would not be completely shocked. I've laid out a way for you to bring back Gino. I've laid out a way for you to acquire Brendan Donovan. Like, these things can happen. But there's going to be roster attrition if they do, because things do not all fit the way they are right now. They do not all fit the way they are right now. Again, you can get in on YouTube. You can get in on X. We do have a Buster Olney episode coming on Christmas Eve. Text says, Adam Jude of the Seattle Times says they're still pursuing an impact bat, but who knows what that means. Now, I did not see that. So that is news to me as well. I believe that Jude said that. I believe the texter getting in there. Maybe the impact bat is Gino. I mean, we know that there is an affinity there. Okay, we know there's an affinity there. We know that the front office loves Gino. We know the clubhouse loves Gino. We know Gino loves Seattle. I'm telling you, they have $9 to $14 million to spend. Maybe there's a chance that Gino takes a little bit less in order to come back in Seattle, right? Like, maybe Gino takes a little bit less, and maybe Gino fits that budget. And Gino plays third some days, and Gino plays DH other days, and they find a way for Refsnyder, and they find a way for Robles, but somebody can't be here. If they bring in Gino, one of Robles, one of Canzone, one of Raley is SOL. I don't know which one it would be, but one of them would be SOL. You would not need three outfield. Refsnyder is being brought in to play every day against lefties. Like, he is being brought in to play every single day against lefties. That's why they're paying him $6 million. I gave you the numbers. He is a lefty masher. He is a southpaw slayer. He is here to play. So he is in the lineup. If you're paying Gino, he's in the lineup. So Gino's in one spot, Refsnyder's in another. Robles, Raley, Canzone, somebody has no path. And there's also no path against righties for somebody as well. My gut tells me that Rayleigh would be the guy who's most likely out of luck, but again, not reporting, just an opinion. Brendan Donovan via trade, I think could happen also. But again, somebody's not fitting on that roster, either Cole Young or one of the outfielders. I'm starting to get the itch. I said this to Buster when we had him on last Thursday. Buster's usually with us on Thursdays. This week he's going to be on Wednesday because Thursday is Christmas Day. I'm starting to get the itch. The last Mariners game of the year was October 20th, I believe. We are more than 2 months removed from the last time we saw the Mariners play. We are less than 2 months away until we see the Mariners play again. We are more than halfway through the offseason. Spring training begins February 15th-ish, right? February 10th-ish. The first game, I believe, is February 20th in Peoria. So we are closer to the beginning of spring training games than we are to the end of the season in Toronto. I'm starting to get the itch. And once the holidays are over and once New Year's is over, I'm really going to have the itch. We're going to be at 6 weeks and counting until spring training. I've already booked my spring training trip. I will be there. I'm seeing 4 games in Peoria in February before people leave for the World Baseball Classic. I am starting to get excited. And last offseason, we took the podcast off, right? We didn't do the podcast last offseason because I just wasn't sure. I wasn't sure that I could do it over the course of an entire offseason. Well, now I know that we can, and you guys are all responding to it, listening and interacting with it, and it's made the offseason go that much quicker. So by the time I get to Peoria, I'm ready. And I think a lot of you are starting to get ready as well. The enthusiasm for this show, the enthusiasm for our written content, the enthusiasm just that I see on social media is big time as well. All right, couple news and notes before we get out of here. On the Brendan Donovan front, the Cardinals have made 2 trades with the Boston Red Sox, right? They traded Sonny Gray earlier in the offseason. They traded Wilson Contreras on Sunday night. They've gotten back only pitchers in these deals, right? They've traded 2 players. They've gotten 5 pitchers. I'm just wondering, is Chaim Bloom at the point where he has acquired enough pitching that he doesn't need or want pitching from the Mariners in a deal for Donovan? Now, I don't think that that's the case. I think you can never have too much pitching. I kind of bounced this idea off somebody else who I trust, and they said, nah, you can never have too much pitching. So we kind of agree that Bloom would still want arms, but I think there is at least a possibility that the Cardinals have said, we've acquired enough pitching, now we need something else. So I don't know if that impacts the Mariners positively or negatively, but I think there's an opportunity there where maybe the Mariners don't have to part with one of Cade Anderson, Ryan Sloan, or Durangelo Sanchez. Again, I don't think it's a high probability, but I think there is at least a little bit of a possibility where the Mariners don't have to give up a pitcher. Speaking of pitchers, we are not there yet, but we are getting close to the Mariners being marked safe from having to send a starting pitcher to the World Baseball Classic. And that is ultimately good news if that's how it shakes out. Now, I don't want to be a hypocrite. I love the World Baseball Classic, right? I think it's fun. Anytime that the national team jerseys are out in any sport, I enjoy it. I enjoy Olympic basketball. I enjoy Olympic hockey. I enjoy the World Cup. And I can't stand soccer. But when the World Cup is on, I'll make sure to watch some of it, right? I love the World Baseball Classic. When we're playing for medals and we're playing for national team pride, I'm invested. I also appreciate that the World Baseball Classic gives us something meaningful to watch between spring training and opening day. So I am all in on the World Baseball Classic. And I know it comes with risk. It comes for a risk with every player that's in it. I would prefer the Mariners not send any starting pitchers to the WBC, despite the fact of how much I like it. And we're getting close to not having to send any starting pitchers to the WBC, right? Like, let's take a look briefly, another list, at Team USA's pitching staff, right? Team USA. They have 15 spots for pitchers on their roster, 15 pitcher spots. There's already 4 pure starters on that list. Paul Skeens, Tarek Skubal, Logan Webb, and Joe Ryan. Those 4 are already in. Then they've got starters like Matthew Boyd, Clay Holmes, and Nolan McLean of the Mets in the bullpen. So 7 of those 15 spots have already gone to guys who start games for their major league teams. Does Team USA need Brian Wu, Logan Gilbert, Bryce Miller, or George Kirby? I would think not. They've already got, again, 7 starters. All 4 of those guys could help Team USA in the WBC. All 4 of those guys would be good for Team USA and could help Team USA win the gold medal. But they're not going to serve as starters over those 4, and they've already got 3 swing guys back there. I would think that Mark DeRosa, now the manager of Team USA, is going to go out and try to build a bullpen that features more traditional bullpen arms, right? He's got Mason Miller and David Bednar there with Garrett Clevenger and Garrett Whitlock, right? He's got 4. Did I do my math right? Miller, Bednar, Clevenger, Griffin Jacks, and Garrett Whitlock. So he's got 5 traditional bullpen arms out there. I'd have to think that he's going to want to fill those remaining 3 spots, at least 2 of them, again, with more traditional bullpen arms. Doesn't mean that he won't surprise me and ask one of the Mariners guys to go. Doesn't mean that somebody I just named won't get hurt, not be able to play, and a Mariner is there to be the fill-in. But we are getting closer to a Mariner not being needed to go to at least play for Team USA. To be honest with you, I wouldn't be shocked if Gabe Speier gets asked to go play for Team USA over any of the 4 starters that I just named, any of the 4 American starters. I could see Gabe Speier being asked to go play for Team USA, maybe more than I can see any of the starters right now, barring injury. When we look at the WBC, I still think the Mariners are going to be very, very impacted. We know that Randy Arozarena is going to play. We know that Julio Rodriguez is going to play. We know that Andres Munoz is going to end up playing. Pretty clear that Edward Bizardo is going to play as well. That's 4. Josh Naylor is confirmed. That's 5. Matt Brash is confirmed. That's 6. Michael Arroyo's been on the qualifying roster all along for Colombia. He's going to play. That's 7. Sounds like if he's not traded, Jurangelo St. John might play for the Netherlands. That would be 8. And maybe someone else along the way. Cal Raleigh's in. That's 9. And then if Gabe Speier plays, that's 10. If any of the other pitchers get called in, that's 10. Like, there's going to be significant roster movement for the Mariners in spring training. Again, when I'm there, everybody's going to be in camp. But they're all going to leave shortly after. And again, I love the WBC, but I definitely don't want to see any of the Mariners starters play in this. Text says, I don't know if you saw this, Brady, but there was a report out there that the Mariners have asked the Cardinals about Nolan Arenado as well. I'm not sure how serious the talks are. Have you seen that? It seems like a super expensive trade for both those guys in one deal, if that's a legit rumor. I did see that rumor. I don't necessarily believe that it was put out by anybody credible. But let me just talk about Nolan Arenado for a second here. First and foremost, I wouldn't let the money you see bother you, right? Nolan Arenado's owed $32 million or so over the next 2 years with a bunch of deferrals left. So it's an expensive deal to take on. The Cardinals have shown that they're willing to pay a lot of that money in order to facilitate a better deal for themselves. Like, they're paying a lot of Sonny Gray's money to the Red Sox. They're paying some of Wilson Contreras' deal to the Red Sox. They would have to eat a significant portion of the money to make Nolan Arenado palatable for the Mariners, but they'd be doing that for the purpose of buying a better prospect. I don't think the Mariners are in the business of giving away, or even if there's a financial benefit, I don't think they're in the business of taking away a really good prospect for a clearly depreciating asset. Okay, a clearly depreciating asset. Secondly, I don't think that they want to block Ben Williamson and Colt Emerson. I think they really do want to give one of those guys an opportunity to play, to earn the job and play every day. Thirdly, if they're going to get an aging third baseman, they'll just go call Gino. Like, that will fit them better than Nolan Arenado in a lot of ways. Now, I've said there would be some roster attrition that would need to happen, and there would be. But they love Gino. Gino loves the community. Gino loves the fans. The fans love Gino. Nolan Arenado is going to hit 15 home runs in 2026. Gino's going to hit 35. Now, he may only hit 215, but he's going to hit 35 home runs. Nolan Arenado might hit 215 with 15 home runs. Gino, I would like to think, will be less expensive than Nolan Arenado, at least on a per-year basis. Or maybe 1 year 15, 1 year 17. So it might be close, but they would just rather have Gino than have Arenado at that rate. I don't believe that that's going to happen. I don't think the Mariners need Arenado. I don't think they want Arenado. I think it's wishful thinking on the Cardinals' perspective that they're going to be able to give the Mariners Arenado if they, in fact, have wanted to do that. So I don't buy that at all. I did see that, but I don't recall it being from anybody credible. So I think Donovan fits them financially. I think he fits them player profile wise. I think he fits them positionally. But again, there's going to be a roster issue if he's here. And there'd be a roster issue for Gino as well. I love the Refsnyder move, but it definitely kind of limits the chess piece. It gives more chess pieces in one way, but it stifles chess pieces in another, right? Stifles chess pieces in another. Lastly, the Fangraphs Zips projections came out the other day. Even before the Refsnyder move, they had the Mariners projected to win between 89 and 93 wins. That should be enough to win the American League West again. And I am going to have to, one of the biggest things I'm going to have to do in the calendar year of 2026 is, I don't want to say raise my expectations, because I had high expectations last year too. But maybe raise expectations is the way to say it, actually. I spent so much of last year trying to appreciate the ride that we were on. And I truly had a just get in mentality, right? I was less about they have to win the World Series as I was just happy to see them in the playoffs, right? You go on the ride for 162. I wanted to be paid off and see them make the playoffs. I looked at the playoffs kind of as bonus time and bonus money. And I thought maybe the Mariners were playing with house money when they got to the playoffs. This year, it is about make the playoffs and do damage again in the playoffs, right? It's not just about get there. This projection, 89 to 93 wins, that signifies get in and do damage again. I mean, they think that they are on par with the Blue Jays and with the Yankees. And yes, they play in an easier division. And they should hopefully scoop up wins against the Angels and against Texas. The A's, I think, are still fairly scary, especially offensively. The Astros are, I think, always a threat, but they're very clearly not quite as good, although their move to get Mike Burrows the other day scares me. To pair with Hunter Brown, another kind of sorcerer on the pitching side for the Astros. But Fangraphs thinks the Mariners are the best team in the division, thinks they should win the division. And our expectations have to be raised as such. This move to get Refsnyder was very good. I think they need another bullpen arm. Again, I would not be astounded if this is their last offensive move. If they can make another one, though, they have a chance to continue to elevate and continue to push the envelope and continue to try to hit those expectations. That's going to do it for us. We'll be back on Wednesday on Christmas Eve with Buster Olney. Again, just the interview. Buster and I are going to talk at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 6 a.m. Pacific. The interview will be out shortly after, so a lot of you will wake up to it. Thursday, we're going to have a best of kind of the first half of the Refuse to Lose podcast year. So we'll have some fun with it, kind of see how things shook out, things we talked about. This podcast has been great for, I've really picked it up full time in February. So for 10 months, This podcast has been a lot of fun for me. I hope it's been fun for you. So I appreciate you listening. Again, the best of will come out on Christmas Day on Thursday. Buster on Wednesday, best of on Thursday. The QR code here above my shoulder, hit that. Join our Mariners on Roundtable Sports community. MarinersRoundtable.com, hit join. It is free. It's no gimmicks. There's no paywalls, no nothing. All it does, give you the ability to read our stories, interact with us. Our stories are free anyways, but read the stories, interact with us, comment, post, comment with each other. And, once a week you get an email with kind of, here's what you missed on the site. That's it. That's literally it. But it is the best way for us to grow our website. Myself and Taryn Kovac appreciate all of you. I'm in my Felix Navidad Christmas sweater. Have a great holiday, everybody. I'll see you on Christmas Eve with Buster Olney. And as always, go out.